Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Marcus Scholler, and I'm here to welcome you today to today's webinar featuring Aviwest and Haivision in the webinar entitled The Future of Broadcast Contribution. We're very excited to be talking to you today, to people in North America, Europe, and Asia, hopefully. So welcome to everybody. Et juste pour dire bonjour à tous nos amis en France, parce que nous sommes ici en France ensemble. We're here today together in France at the Aviwest office. We're here today to hear from the CTOs of Haivision and Aviwest about how these companies are coming together to address the challenges of broadcast and really provide a vision for where we see ourselves going. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mahmoud Al-Dakak and Ronan Pulawek. I'll let you guys introduce yourself and then we'll take it from there. So welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Marcus. So my name is Mahmoud Al-Dakak. I'm CTO of Haivision. I've been with Haivision for 12 years and built the team to what it is today. We have development centers in multiple cities. We right now have 6 cities with multiple people also from joining us from different parts of the world. I'm extremely happy today to welcome Ronan and actually to add to our development centers in Rennes in France, our 7th city for development, and it's very, very exciting for me and for the whole team at Haivision to have that for sure. So Ronan, maybe I can give it to you.
Thank you very much, Mahmoud. So my name is, hello everybody. So my name is Ronan Pulawek. So I have been managing the R&D and the product strategy for now about 13 years, since the early beginning of Aviwest. I am very excited, and I'm sure my team are also very excited to start working with you on very exciting technologies we have been developing. And we will explain everything to you in the following slides.
Thank you guys both very much.
Thank you very much.
So my name is Marcus Scholler. I'm the VP of Marketing at Haivision. You may have seen me in a webinar already before, though if not, welcome and thank you for being here today. So let's jump in to the agenda. So we have a number of different topics to go over today. I'll begin with an overview quickly for the benefit of those of you who don't know us. Either of us very well. I'll talk about our product portfolios, and then Mahmoud and Ronan will go over common synergies and values, understanding the protocols, the differences between SST and SRT. We'll talk about how 5G technology will be impacting broadcast workflows, and finally, we'll close with our shared vision. So let's begin, and I will start it off with a quick overview of the product portfolios from Aviwest and Haivision. Before jumping into the products, though, I just want to talk about the kind of historical use cases that Haivision have been addressing: video contribution, video distribution, video delivery, of course, more specifically addressing the needs of broadcast, media and entertainment, enterprise defense and security. Traditionally in broadcast and media, were used for video contribution, remote production, decentralized workflows. In the face streaming market, we provide solutions for live streaming, among other things. In enterprise and government workflows, very often our products are used for delivering internal messaging across corporate networks, in addition to IPTV and signage. And then ultimately in defense and safety, we have a strong background in providing highly secure solutions for ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance workflows, as well as situational awareness. Now, where we see the combined companies coming together and the use cases where we see some really exciting opportunities for the two of us together, notably, very importantly, live sports events, and we'll be hearing much more about how we see our technologies coming together to push the frontiers of how live sport events productions are done, and of course news coverage, live entertainment, and also first responders, where there's a very interesting synergy between Haivision's background and what Aviwest brings to the technology table. So we're very excited for these use cases. Now this is a new thing for me to do, talking about the Aviwest product portfolio, so I'm excited to be able to do this with everybody today. But I'll just do a quick overview in terms of the key products for broadcast. And it starts with the Pro series, which are their very high quality mobile transmitters, reliable 4K multi-HD, low latency field transmitters that are used over 5G and other networks. with cellular bonding, H.264 and HEVC encoding. The rack series, these are video encoder, contribution video encoders that are typically deployed in OB vans or trucks or in other facility locations that are being used for low latency video encoding, 4K and multi-HD as well. Also, of course, HEVC and H.264. Mojo Pro series, this stands for mobile journalism, is a series of apps running on iOS and Android, provides high quality camera controls and more that enable journalists in the field to contribute video in news types of situations and other situations as well. A very new addition to the product portfolio is LiveGuest, which is a very simple way of getting live interviews into your broadcast production workflow. So when you need to bring an expert speaker in, they have very low technical capabilities and they need an easy way of getting a stream into the broadcast workflow. LiveGuest is an excellent solution for that. And finally, StreamHub, which is a very important component of all these workflows, enabling the reception of the streams coming from the field, bringing these streams in as a receiver, and then as a gateway or a transcoder to ultimately distribute these incoming streams into the broadcast workflows, either using SDI or IP streams such as NDI, SRT, and others. So that's a very brief overview. There are certainly other things and lots more information which you can get. If you go look in the chat, you'll see that there are links available for the data sheets for these products. And so let me pivot over and talk about Haivision products. And maybe a lot of people here are familiar with Haivision products, but for those of you who are not, certainly welcoming the Aviwest customers as well, who may not know us as well. The Makito X4 video encoder is our flagship product, low latency video encoder, small form factor, very high density, capable of 4K and multiple HD low latency streaming using HEVC or H.264, commonly used along with the SRT protocol to stream over any networks, including unpredictable ones like the public internet. Haivision Hub, which is a cloud solution for managing your appliances, setting up routes, low latency over the internet, private cloud, private networks and the cloud. Haivision SRT Gateway, which is used commonly to bridge networks, flip protocols, send one stream to multiple destinations. We see it often being used in decentralized collaborative workflows where multiple people need access to SRT streams to be able to see what's going on and interact, collaborate. The Makito X4 decoder, which is the low latency companion to the Makito X4 encoder, of course, also capable of 4K UHD, multi 4 streams of HD. I did mention HDR, that's a very important component of the workflows on the Haivision side as well. And finally, Haivision Play Pro and the Play set-top box, which are viewing options to enable collaborative workflows, especially when broadcasters are leveraging SRT and decentralized collaborative team workflows. And again, the data sheets are available for all of these products in the chat. So that's a quick look at the products. Just a note on technology, and we're very pleased to be able to say that with this acquisition, our combined technology portfolio includes being recognized 4 times, citing 4 times for Emmy Awards. Aviwest with 2 for their SST, Safe Stream Transport Technology, and Haivision for 2 as well, including one that was last month. We were very excited to receive that, of course, for SRT and also for IP multicast technology. So that's exciting to be able to now say that our combined entity is the proud owner of 4 Emmys. So that's great, very exciting there. And just before I hand it over, because I know everybody is here to hear Mahmoud and Ronan talk about the future of our combined companies and our vision working together, I do want to mention, because we just published this last week, that the Broadcast IP Transformation Report is now available for download. So this is a report that perhaps many of you have completed. It was something that we launched back in the fall where our survey went out and over 650 people responded, providing information about where they're at, their organizations are at in terms of their transformation towards IP workflows and broadcast. And so It's available for download. Some of the key takeaways, which are, I think, quite interesting for today's conversation, include the following. So among our respondents, SRT is now the most widely used streaming protocol for broadcast workflows when transporting live video over IP. The next key takeaway is that 65% broadcasters have already migrated part of their broadcast infrastructure to IP. Now, this may not come as a surprise to people, but it is an important piece of information. Now, another thing that is perhaps a bit more surprising and very interesting is that with the pandemic, we know that all of the world, but broadcasters especially, were forced to adapt their workflows in order to accommodate at-home work and decentralized workflows with reduced staff on location at events or in the facilities. And they developed mechanisms through which they were able to build collaborative workflows that involve people being in multiple locations. And 60% of the respondents to this year's survey believe that the future involves continuing to employ some of these hybrid workflows, which is very interesting because I think what happened was that people recognized the benefits and want to continue to leverage them in new and optimized ways. So we expect to see a lot more of hybrid workflows, not just in terms of how they're working, where they're working, but also in terms of the technologies that they use between SDI, 2110, NDI, streaming protocols, et cetera. Now, this probably comes to no surprise for people that are commonly using Haivision products, but 79% of the respondents indicated that they rely heavily on the internet for contributing live video into their production workflows. And very interestingly, for today's conversation, when asked what the technology was that would have the biggest impact in the coming years in broadcast, 68% of people cited that they believed that 5G technology would have the biggest impact. So that's very interesting. And of course, we're very excited to be able to talk about 5G in today's session with our friends from Aviwest. So with that, I'm going to jump over and now pass it back, because I know everybody's here to hear what the CTOs have to say about our two companies coming together. And we're going to start with a conversation about our company's common values and synergies. And we definitely see and have known that Aviwest and Haivision traditionally have addressed similar challenges, but with complementary and different approaches. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Mahmoud to start talking about the sort of common values that are core to our companies, focusing on reliability, quality, and latency. So Mahmoud, please give us the Haivision perspective on this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, whether it is the result of the survey that you mentioned actually speaks to some of those common values. Our companies have, very similar common values, very similar DNA, and those really can be summarized in 3 words: reliability, quality, and latency. And when I say reliability from a Haivision point of view, there's multiple examples. I mean, the whole SRT protocol that we've pioneered, it's all about reliability. The whole seamless switching about it for the networking is all about reliability and whatnot. Our encoders are used in very mission critical operations, 24/7 operations, that they just need to work and work flawlessly. And of course, recently with some of our cloud properties, and the hub and whatnot, we're enabling some global routing and global redundancy across the world. From a quality point of view, Haivision's always been known for quality. I call it, efficiency of encoding, or quality per bit, if you want to call it that way. And I feel that we lead the market in the quality per bit, from our encoder point of view. And of course, we're adding, the frame accuracy, synchronization, and whatnot, plus all the other things that comes with that quality. So I want delve more into that. But we support 4K, HEVC 60p, and full HDR, of course. One of our core DNA values is latency. And we command, less than 140 milliseconds end-to-end latency. And that's been, from day one, from the beginning of Haivision, and we kept it across multiple encoder generations. And I can assure you that these three key components, reliability, quality, latency, you will see the same kind of components on the Aviwest side, and that's why I think we're coming together, Ronald. Don't you agree?
Yes, I fully agree, indeed. And we have been working on, we have shared a lot of common values for a long time, and long before today, I think.
Yeah.
And yes, we have developed each our technology on our own, SRT and SST. We will elaborate on these technologies. But behind these technologies, reliability, video quality, low latency or ultra low latency transmission are probably the most important things our both company achieved. And you mentioned same DNA. I think it's exactly this. And of course, without any doubt, all these things, reliability, quality, and low latency transmission, all these things matter if you are a live producer. So I will give you an example. If you have wired and wireless cameras, maybe we can go deeper in what we call our combined technology and our complementarities. So wired and wireless networks. It's true that the use of IP technologies has become very common for live production. And now, one of the biggest production concerns is the network connectivity. And maybe sometimes you will rely on wired IP networks. Sometimes you will have no other choice but to use wireless IP networks. And sometimes it will be a combination of wired and wireless networks. But for all these cases, your IP networks may not support quality of service. And our combined technologies, thanks to our combined technologies, which will guarantee the quality of service, which will bring the network connectivity, you will have a unique solution to manage your very complex live production workflow. Multi-camera setup for big sports production, of course, they combine multiple cameras, dozens of cameras in the venue with fixed position or stationary cameras and portable camera. I'm sure you have something to tell about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar that the network is no longer just wired or wireless. The encoders also and the cameras are no longer just portable or stationary. They are portable and stationary at the same time. And for that, you need to have different type of encoders for different type of situations. And for the portable ones, you need to make sure that you are battery powered. You can attach it to the camera, to the back of the camera, or you can put it in your backpack. It's the choice is yours, and different countries decide to do it differently. But being able to attach your encoder to the camera is very big in many cases, especially in sports and whatnot. And of course, the backpack. And then, from a stationary point of view, you can, you always rely on, are these encoders rack mountable or not? How ruggedized they are, in what harsh environment can they survive? And from a stationary point of view, Haivision provides highly ruggedized encoders to survive in a very, very harsh environments that are, as I said, deployed across the world in mission critical situations. Both stationary and portable, they need the high quality. And I mentioned about the high quality of the encoding, or actually I call it the encoding efficiency, because at the end of the day, you can pump the bit rate as high as you want and get much higher. The idea is, how can you get the best quality at the lowest bit rate possible? And this is, I think, what the combined solutions between our two companies bring together, which is really the highest quality at the lowest bit rate possible. And the last thing I want to mention here is we pride ourselves on being very, very high density. We are almost one of the highest density in the industry, if not the highest density, from the number of blades or the number of encoders you can put in a one RU rack to provide all the encoding that you need. and at the very low power. So we're not only high density, but we're extremely low power, which means green energy at the end of the day. So those stationary and portable solutions supports different workflows, whether it is from local or remote production, right?
Yes, I fully agree. And in the recent years, there has been increasing demand for remote production workflows. Everybody knows about that. And due to the pandemic, a lot of workflows had to switch to a full remote production workflows. And this is very important. This was, and it is still very important, to optimize the production resources, to send less people on site in the venue to manage the live production, and to do everything, to manage everything from a centralized IP-based production facility. But sometimes again, for big sports production, you will need to rely on mobile fixed position cameras, a lot of cameras in the venue, and a first level of remote production facility that will receive all the feeds coming from your multiple cameras. And then you will have another network operating center, the centralized place where you will receive all your feeds to manage the overall production. And there are a lot of mandatory features to manage these remote production workflows or combination between local and remote production workflows. These features, for instance, are the intercom and IFB channels to stay in touch, even if you have less people in the venue. This will be very important for you to stay in touch with these people. So return feeds to give to your people in the field confidency monitoring of the operation will be key for the success of your production. The remote control of your camera from the studio, the remote control of your production equipment like PTZ camera, video switchers, anything will be very useful to manage all these new workflows. These are the keys to have a successful live production operation. So I was talking about mixing local production and remote production. A good use case for that is managing the first mile transmission with camera, sending live transmission, sending live streams to your remote facility, and then everything, the video editing can be managed in the cloud. So I think it's a very good trend that we can see now.
The trend, absolutely. I mean, the trend is continuing. And again, like the survey that we showed at the beginning, continue to talk to that, to the importance of the cloud and the importance of remote production. But if I roll back again to something you said, Rona, is about the first mile. Now, whether it is coming from the Aviwest transmitters coming over the 5G, for example, for the first mile over SST, or coming from fixed encoders, from Haivision over SRT, the idea is, you need to have the lowest latency possible for that first mile. And then the first mile, you need to lead you either to on-prem or to the cloud. More and more, we're seeing a lot of production happening in the cloud, but we cannot underestimate the importance of on-premise. So our infrastructure, our technology addresses both, addresses the cloud and on-premise technology to receive those feeds from the field. At the same time, we cannot underestimate, something we've talked about a little bit, but I will elaborate on later on. Something which is, being able to be as close to the venue as possible and as close to the telco as possible. So this is when we talk about our technologies moving to the edge. And, with the technologies also moving to the edge and where they are coming from, I always like to say that, the media always originate in one place and then you need it to be processed or you need it to be consumed in another place. So our infrastructure actually support worldwide routing of that media to get it from the place where it originates to the place where it needs to be consumed. Of course, that all cannot be handled manually, so you need to have the provisioning or the orchestration of all of these resources to be able to fire these instances and being able to receive the media from the first mile and move it, across the middle mile and then to the final mile. So all that needs to happen, in the background. So that's why the provisioning and orchestration of any cloud resources is extremely important. And that leads to the distribution either to data centers or distribution to affiliates or whatnot. And it doesn't end up there because, right now, low latency delivery to the end consumer is also important. There's many live events are going straight to the end consumer through low latency delivery mechanism, and our infrastructure supports all of these things. And as Marcus has mentioned, the cloud is not only came because of the pandemic, it's been evolving for a while. The pandemic accelerated the adoption on the cloud, and we accelerate our development on the cloud. But the trend is continuing. I don't think it's stopping, if I'm not mistaken.
So let's pivot over to the next topic, which is the topic of SST and SRT. And I think when we made the announcement of the acquisition 3 weeks ago, we started to receive a number of questions about people wanting to know a bit about the differences, the similarities, and what we were thinking about doing now that we have both of these very important and Emmy award-winning technologies in our portfolio. So what we did here was we pulled together some Q&A, but to help people understand. But before we do that, I'd like to ask each of you to explain SST and SRT. So let's start with Ronan, who will give us an overview of the SST technology.
Thank you, Marcus. Yes, SST stands for Safe Stream Transport. So we have been working on this protocol, this network protocol 13 years ago. So when the first cellular networks, 3G networks appeared. So SST is a unique and double award winning protocol, as you said, Marcus, before, that will manage the quality of service over any kind of unmanaged IP networks. That means if you have to rely on multiple cellular networks for your wireless mobile camera or Wi-Fi or satellite or even wired unmanaged IP networks, LAN or WAN over public internet, SST will guarantee the quality of service and the video quality of your transmission from the field to the production facilities. So, and this is very easy to understand. For most common TV stations now, they are using this technology to transmit their live from anywhere in the world to their facilities. And SST, of course, manages the network aggregation, but it also manages the bitrate, adaptive bitrate encoding that will follow the, if your network is not reliable, the adaptive bitrate will guarantee that you will have no drops, no signal interruption during your transmission. Even if you have network fluctuation, bandwidth fluctuation on your cellular network or IP networks. Since for, I would say, 5 or maybe more years, we received a lot of requests, of course, to transport live video streams, but to add multi-content transport to this technology. So we did it, and with SST, you can transport not only the live video feed coming from your camera, but as well any kind of IP data that can be file transmission, video return from your studio to the field, that can be remote control for remote control operation to control your camera shading, your PTZ camera, that can be the intercom, IFB channels, that can be any kind of IP data So SST will manage this for you by creating a bigger pipe with quality of service over any kind of IP network. I'm sure there are some, how to say that, very nice complementarities with
absolutely.
SRT. So it's,
absolutely. There is a lot of common things between SST and SRT and a lot of different things also. You know, SRT now is very well known. It stands for Secure Reliable Transport. We started supporting it in our products in 2013, and we open sourced it in 2017. Our goal was very simple, is to move live video from point A to point B in a reliable way and the lowest latency possible. I'll talk to that in a little bit. But we purposefully, you know, kept it at the protocol level, the network protocol level, to ensure the highest level of interoperability between the different vendors. So SRT is not meant to be between, you know, a specific transmitter and a specific receiver, or a specific encoder and a specific decoder. It's meant to be interoperable between different vendors. And actually, when we decided to open source, we had two objectives in mind. One is to lower the barrier of entry for people who need to move video reliably across the internet. And we thought that that should be democratized. That shouldn't be, you know, like just hostage to somebody. So we open sourced it. And the second purpose we open sourced it is that interoperability between the different vendors. So allow them to have a common language to exchange between their products. So that's why we did it. And we did it with the attributes that are shown on the screen here in front of you. Of course, there's the low latency, so it is over UDP with ARQ, ensuring the lowest latency possible over public internet or unmanaged network. We make sure the quality is pristine by adjusting to any network jitters or any network impairments or packet loss or whatnot. As I mentioned, is a network protocol, so it's content agnostic. You can program it to carry different codecs, carry different video and audio, carry metadata, carry messaging. And actually, there's a lot of implementation of SRT that is audio only. There's a lot of implementation of SRT that is machine control only. So at the end of the day, it's allowing to move your video or your content from A to B in a reliable way. Of course, that all has to happen in a secure manner. And not only in a secure manner, but also you need to be able to be friendly with your IT department. So firewall traversal is very key from day one when we evolved SRT, so that we have caller, listener, rendezvous mode, so that you can actually traverse, you know, firewall easily and manage your IT department, you know, in an easier manner. Of course, you know, SRT was designed to solve multiple problems, you know, really focusing on the video streaming challenges. So whether it is replacing the satellite or replacing private networks or replacing proprietary solutions that exist in the marketplace, you know, it was meant for that, as I said, you know, to address that challenge. It addresses the interest of high quality live video contributions. So a lot of people used to rely on RTMP for that. In the latest survey, actually, we can see that SRT started to take over RTMP. It has a lot of attributes, you know, whether, you know, people know that there is a lot of limitation when it comes to bandwidth utilization and traveling the long distance. So whether it is from bandwidth utilization, we have a very high bandwidth utilization with SRT compared to RTMP. And also SRT can travel the long distance that RTMP usually ends up, you know, being a little bit less reliable there. But to me, honestly, the most important thing is SRT with the wide adoption and with an alliance that is more than 520 members right now and multiple implementation of SRT, is that it's becoming the glue between multiple vendors. It's becoming the you know, we just talked about how important cloud is and how important, you know, cloud operation and microservices based solutions are important. Well, SRT is you know, enabling that workflows by gluing, you know, manufacturers together. And there's no better example than gluing, you know, Aviwest with Haivision, actually, so to that end, we're very proud of providing the world with that SRT. But I'm sure there's a lot of questions that might come to people's mind, though.
Yeah, and I think this is a sampling of some of them here. Like I said, when the acquisition was announced, people did reach out wondering a number of different things, and and this is sort of a distillation of key ones that were recurring questions. And so, there's some for both of you, but I'll start with you, Mahmoud. If you wouldn't mind taking the first question about whether or not SRT will replace SST.
Yeah, the short answer is no. SRT will not replace SST. SST is really meant to work, for the first mile, between the Aviwest products and making sure that the bonding is there and the communication back to the field is there and all of that. SRT was designed to be more, multi-vendor and more, at the network agnostic level. So SRT will not replace SST. They're all going to coexist together. And Rona will talk to that a little bit more in a sense. So the short answer is no. SRT will not replace SST. Of course, Haivision is very well known for its open source posture, and our reliance on open source and whatnot has been heavy. So we like to give back to the community for open source. And actually, you should stay tuned because we will have some new news about open sources of other technologies. But the question was asked, are we going to open source or include SST inside SRT open source? The answer is no. There is no intention of open sourcing SST. It's a proprietary technology within the Aviwest products, and it will remain as such. But remaining proprietary technology and remaining closed source doesn't mean that there's no collaboration between the different engineering brains, the different mindset, the different expertise, the different knowledge base between the people who invented SRT and the people who invented SST. So we'll be exchanging a lot of those. And some of the questions we're asking, well, SRT started, by saying at one point it will support bonding. Well, yeah, SRT, started adding, reliability, so it can send signals over multiple connections, and you can have seamless switching between those multiple I call them active connections. So you can, if one route fails, you can switch to the other route seamlessly without disruption of the signal within the latency of the SRT. So we started with that. We added to the active mode what I call an active passive mode, where you actually maintain your links, but you don't send the media over those multiple links in case you have bandwidth restrictions and whatnot. You actually send them over one link, and if that fails, you can have seamless switch over to the other link that maintains the connection. So within the latency of SRT, you can you start getting your media. So this is basically main and backup, if you are, or active passive. So eventually, we wanted to add bonding, of multiple of these connections. But right now, I think we have a pool of engineers that we can benefit from, and we can, decide how best to add, that bonding into SRT, and in a way that makes sense. And I'm a lot more comfortable right now with the engineers that we have. Speaking of engineers and leveraging each other resources and whatnot, some of the questions comes is like, is SRT slowing down? It's absolutely not slowing down. The momentum is continuing to be going as fast as it can, for sure. And for the sake of time, I won't elaborate more, but we're working on receiver buffer optimizations for congestion control. We're working over with SRT over being tunneled over quick datagrams. So we're doing a lot of things from an SRT point of view, but maybe I would like Rona to speak briefly about SST and SRT and how they're working together. Move just for the sake of time, because we might be running out of time.
Thank you, Mahmoud. So indeed, first of all, Aviwest have been member of the SRT Alliance since a while. So we have developed some bridges or gateway between SST and SRT. And these gateways, like our Stream Hub, will have no impact on the video quality. So if you want to receive a SST feed and transmit this same feed over SRT, you can use this gateway. There will be absolutely no impact on the video quality. So I have in mind a lot of cases where SST and SRT are used in combination to manage a production workflow with first mile and from the first mile to the final destination that can be the operating center. And the aim of this is one very important thing, is to reach a very high efficiency for your live production and to reach the lowest possible latency. And so if you use SST for your mobile cameras and some edge computing capabilities, you will drastically optimize the latency. And then you can rely on SRT to transmit these very optimized feed streams to your operating center. This is very important. And again, I have in mind a lot of cases, a lot of customers using a combination of SST and SRT. So I would say it's working.
Yeah.
We have nothing more to do. It's already working. Behind this, everybody has been told that 5G will be a big change for the live production world. SST already supports 5G. And the advantage of SST, what are the advantages of SST over 5G? 5G, is like all the other cellular networks. 5G technology relies on multiple cellular antennas. And with the wider frequency spectrum, 5G will rely on a lot more antennas than the previous 4G, LTE, or 3G networks. That means that when you will connect your wireless camera to a 5G network, if you are using a single connection, you will have to face a lot of instability, changing from one frequency to another frequency, changing from one modulation scheme, OFDM, to another one. And if you don't have quality of service, this will have a big impact on your production result. It's why SST is absolutely key, even with 5G. If you want to manage redundancy, multiple connection, to aggregate all the 5G connection to have a bigger pipe, even for best effort mode or quality of service, SST will manage this for you. And this is very important. SST will stay very helpful, even with 5G networks. Maybe we can elaborate a little bit about the 5G technology, because it's something very new for a lot of people. And you have probably seen that 5G deployment have started for a few years or a few months. So let's talk about this new 5G technology. So maybe about a quick overview of this technology. First of all, you have probably noticed some 5G deployment in your region. So from a public mobile operator that have already deployed 5G antennas, 5G networks. These first 5G deployments use what we call 5G non-standalone. So it's combination between 4G, LTE, and 5G. Your camera will connect first to the 4G LTE network, and then will use some extra capacity on the 5G network. But it is still there's still a coupling between the 4G LTE and 5G. The second phase of this 5G technology that has already started in some regions is named 5G standalone. This 5G standalone will be a game changer because it will bring a lot of new features like the network slicing, which is a dedicated network in the public network for professionals and only professionals, like the live broadcaster, to manage your production in crowded area like venues, stadium, during big soccer competitions, World Cup, and so on. You will have, if you need 10 megabit per second to manage one mobile camera, you will have this 10 megabit reserved for your own use. This will be a game changer for the production. Other kind of features, very interesting, are public and non-public networks. Some countries have already allowed the use of dedicated frequencies for private networks, private 5G networks. So if you are going to have a production somewhere where you cannot rely on public networks, you will bring, or you will use a company that will install a private 5G network for your own professional live broadcasting operation. This will be, again, a very big game changer for the live production. Maybe another one, I will not elaborate on all the features. It will probably require a few hours to do that. The edge computing is a cloud computing capability to host application like the SST to SRT gateway. And this edge computing is at the edge of the cellular network. That means that for latency improvement, it's absolutely perfect. And thanks to that, it's a very good combination. Again, SST and SRT, having this SST to SRT gateway located at the edge of the cellular network will bring very high performances for your production. Let's talk maybe about the benefits, the main benefits of this 5G technology, this new 5G technology for live event broadcasting. First of all, increased bandwidth, of course, thanks to slicing, better device density, non-public networks, new higher frequencies that will that are included in this 5G. You will increase your video quality drastically with 4K UHD transmission, more cameras in the venue, mobile action cameras located everywhere in the venue. Another big benefit will be about the reliability. Of course, the slicing will be a key feature. It will not be for free, of course, but it will be a key feature if you are if you are involved in very important live production and you want to have your dedicated network over the public mobile operator. And the last one is maybe about the latency. As I explained, if you combine edge computing, network slicing, non-public network, all the features, you will reach a level of efficiency and you will reach ultra low latency performances that were unknown before. So this is very important. So just to sum up, we believe that this 5G technology will change the game for you, for live broadcasters. So maybe we can, yes. This is just a sum up, comparison between 4G LTE and 5G technologies about connectivity, of course. The connectivity, especially with the 5G standard, will be increased thanks to new frequencies, to new features that I already explained. Video quality, again, if you want more, you want to use more cameras for your live production. 4K UHD with HDR 422, you will need higher bit rates. If you reduce the latency, you will have to higher the transmission bit rate. And so you will increase at the end the video quality. Reliability with the slicing, with it's a trade-off between all these features, all these benefits that the 5G will allow. End-to-end latency, the common case while using 4G LTE was about 1 second from glass to glass. Now, with 5G standalone, it's possible to reach 200 milliseconds glass to glass. So this latency is very close to the traditional RF transmitters that are still in use for a lot of production workflows. And synchronization between multiple cameras, as soon as you have 4, 8 or more cameras in the venues, you have to sync all the cameras together, again, with all the sources you will have installed in the venues. And the 5G will help to do that with a very good accuracy. Again, just some word about the use cases. 4G LTE, it's true, have been used a lot by news TV, by for sports production, tier 2 and tier 3. 5G will allow you to use this technology for tier 1 sports production, World Cup, soccer competitions, anything that needs mobile cameras. So maybe you can move forward. Yes, this is the product portfolio, just to inform you that we already have a lot of products relying on 5G technology that are in production. From the smallest transmitter, the Air, with 2 embedded 5G modules, already compatible with 5G standalone, to the game-changing ultra-low latency 4K UHD mobile transmitter. This transmitter includes 6 5G connections to help you to manage any kind of transmission without having to worry about the quality of service. And I'm very proud to announce, by the way, that in 2021, Aviwest achieved the world's first ultra-low latency live transmission of 4K UHD video at 200 milliseconds glass-to-glass. This achievement was not a POC. It was for big sport, one of the biggest sport competitions in the world, with multiple cameras. Now I will give the floor to
very, very interesting and very exciting, and very proud to have that technology within our portfolio. And with that, I mean, we have our shared vision. Of course, you know, it's very hard to elaborate now with very few minutes left in the webinar, you know, to elaborate on our shared vision, you know, in totality. So, but we're trying to build the future of broadcast together, you know, especially from contribution and remote production. So maybe we run through a couple of diagrams around these, you know, very quickly, you know, to talk about, you know, IP contribution for remote production. You know, these contributions comes from roaming cameras, mobile cameras and whatnot, or can be coming from fixed cameras and the encoders that comes with them, or they can be coming from, you know, mobile devices, whether it's from the sport venue or from at home. They're all moving over different networks. Of course, they need to be arrived and treated, synchronized at the production center. You know, so the first mile and the first mile synchronization is extremely important in that case, you know, to assure that. Of course, that cannot happen without being able to actually also control these devices that are actually on the venue. So from that point of view, you must have your device control, and the device control is not only for monitoring, but it is for monitoring, for configuring your devices, for provisioning your devices, for upgrading your devices, for controlling your devices. So it's extremely important to have that aspect, you know, available to you in the production center. So, and another aspect that is important, you know, in the production center, not in the production center, but more in, you know, how it can deal with between the production center and the venues, is maybe the return feed. So maybe we can talk quickly about
very
them.
quickly about the return feed. For remote production workflows, you will have less people, a small team in the field, and they need to rely on, they need to have feature for you know, confidency monitoring, just to guarantee them that everything they are doing is well received in the venue. So the IFB channel is also, you know, the audio connection between your facilities and the field. These things are very important.
Yeah, and of course it doesn't stop here. Like, so this is between the field and the production center, but also, you know, we cannot underestimate the decentralized collaboration that's been happening. It started to happen, you know, with the pandemic, but it's continued. So you have different styles of, you know, decentralized collaboration. You want the lowest latency, to your directors, for example, or your remote operators, so they receive their signal over IP networks, like on a public internet. They receive it at home, to their decoders. You might have non-technical viewers receiving those signals over, set-top boxes or their mobile or their desktop. So all of that allows for decentralized collaboration for people who are actually operating or directing the show, or people who are just producing the show and doing some kind of a technical, non-technical reviews, I should say, casual viewers, not technical review. So it's very important to have that decentralized collaboration, and we have it built inside our product portfolio and inside our vision. When we say vision, a lot of this is already accomplished. A lot of this is already working. So it's a combination of a vision plus already working products. And at the end, once we have that, it doesn't stop there, because, where does the signal go from there? And the signal needs at that point now to be distributed to affiliates, for example, and we have multiple ways to distribute the affiliate, whether it's received by decoder receivers, gateways, and whatnot. You need to distribute it to affiliates. And also you need, more and more, as I mentioned earlier on, more and more you need to actually start receiving it into data centers so that you can deliver it over OTT to CDNs and whatnot. So at the end of the day, I can sum it up that this is a global vision for IP-based production, remote or local, end-to-end, from the event up to the delivery to the end eyeballs, if I call it that way.
Thank you both for walking us through this combined vision, and of course all the technology behind that's going to make this possible. Just to summarize what we talked about, and really where we see all of this going towards the future of broadcast workflows with Haivision and Aviwest together, is the ability to provide versatile contribution for any kind of situation, whether it's roaming cameras with cellular or mobile connections, whether it's fixed cameras, whether it's mobile devices, all synchronized potentially coming together. Then there's the question of taking those streams from the different locations and bringing them to where they need to go. And for that, the idea of a universal gateway is fundamental. A device, whether it's a physical device, a virtual machine, or a cloud deployment, to take the streams in and push them down to where they need to go in the format that they need to go, whether that's IP flipping, whether it's transcoding, or whether ultimately it's even going out to baseband to any destination. And it's important for us here that that destination can be anywhere in the world. And we don't want this destination to be relying highly on proprietary receivers, but rather a very open mechanism through which content can get from any event to any destination as efficiently as possible. And so if you have any questions about anything that you saw today, you have the email here, you can reach out to us. So I would like to thank everybody for joining us today. And I would certainly especially like to thank Mahmoud and Ronan for participating in today's webinar. And hopefully we'll have the opportunity to see you in person in the not too distant future. And so with that, from Aviwest headquarters in Rennes, I'd like to say thank you very much. Have a nice day, and thank you for joining us today.